unbolded. The BOI and the state itself are not being transparent. Bolded responses. To be clear, the legislature and executive branch has given the task of building this facility to the BOI. The department still has some responsibility to provide advice to the BOI on the actual building design and the requirements for the safety of people, both inside and outside of the facility. The land will be owned and managed by the BOI for the benefit of state taxpayers. Some of you as community leaders have been part of preliminary plat reviews and other actions reviewing subdivisions and/or variance requests from your citizens. Maybe some of you haven't yet. Those that have dealt with applications or requests already know that until you see an actual request or recommendation from a planning board or variance board, it is not prudent to speculate on the contents thereof. As the BOI develops a plan, they may have underlying priorities that dictate the direction in which they would like to proceed. But until they complete an application and submit it to the appropriate local government entity, speculation and premature information on their part is also not wise. Your citizens will have an opportunity at the time an application is formally made to comment on that proposal at a noticed, recorded public meeting of a local government entity. Unbolded. How much did the land sell for? Bolded. In my experience, it is not permissible to disclose terms of a buy-sell agreement, especially if it contains contingencies. Even the final sales terms as reported to the Department of Revenue are kept confidential by the Department of Revenue and used only for property tax appraisal purposes. The final sales price of a transaction brokered by a realtor becomes proprietary information to the Multiple Listing Service, MLS, they belong to. Unbolded. Why do you need 114 acres for 32 beds? Bolded. My guess is that though we may not have needed it, it will benefit Laurel in that it provides a buffer to the community and the school, and it could have been the preference of the landowner to sell all of it or none of it. Unbolded. Will it be used for future expansion of prisons for the criminally insane or for the worst of the worst or for murderers and rapists? Bolded. Those choices of words are certainly unfortunate and, in my view, inaccurate hyperbole. Mental illness can affect any of us or any one family at any given time. There but for the grace of God go you or I. Most of the clients of the facility are there to be evaluated to see if they have the capacity to stand trial in answer to the charges against them. If they do not have capacity, the staff works with them to recover from their illness to the point that they can participate in their own defense. The vast majority of those held in this proposed facility have not been convicted of anything yet, and nearly all will be discharged back to the jail that they were brought to the facility from. Nearly every state in the US is building capacity into their forensic health system. So yes, if current trends continue, at some point in the future, Montana will need more forensic beds. It's hard to predict where that demand will be or where those beds may be located. Unbolded. Will the state pay for expanded water infrastructure? Bolded. If the lot and/or lots are annexed into the city as per city regulations and planning requirements, the Board of Investments will pay the appropriate fees pertinent to their lots and the infrastructure therefrom. They will pay all of the ongoing fees and assessments that the city normally charges to their customers. Unbolded. Will Warm Springs close and move to Laurel? Bolded. Given the fact that you, the state taxpayers, just spent tens of millions of dollars upgrading the main hospital, and by the way, it is beautiful and now a much safer facility, no. We are currently in the process of spending another $20 million to repurpose another building for patient care on that campus. As hard as it was to get the money to rehab those buildings at the Springs, it would be impossible to conceive of a scenario in which the legislature appropriates another $500 million plus to move the operation here to Laurel. It simply isn't going to happen. Western Montana legislators, local leaders, and county law enforcement in Western Montana appreciate the proximity of nearby mental health services. They also appreciate the economic impacts that the high-paying union jobs have on their communities. Unbolded. Does proximity to homes and schools pose safety risk? A Laurel School Board member said perception is reality. Bolded. Not true. Perception is not reality. Reality in my mind is reflected in the community of Billings, and it would suggest that the proposed facility near Laurel does not pose an unreasonable safety risk. The Yellowstone County Detention Center and the site of the proposed new Yellowstone County Detention Center are across the street from several homes. There are schools and perhaps hundreds of homes within a several block radius of the facility. Those schools are a similar distance from the Yellowstone County facility as it is likely to occur from the West Elementary School to the new facility in Laurel. Yellowstone County and the Montana Women's Prison know how to keep the people safely incarcerated that we put in their care. The state has a good record for holding people securely also. Unbolded. This facility is 450 yards away from a public elementary school. Bolded. Mr. Mayor and council members, this is a fallacy. The state is not going to build a forensic hospital in the northeast corner of the 114 acres. To my knowledge, there isn't even a road, street to that part of the parcel, nor is there water, sewer, and electrical infrastructure evident on that end of the property. The state is going to build where they have the closest direct access to the interstate highway. The state is going to build directly adjacent to Highway 10, where public access and all those utilities are already available. The site near Highway 10 is roughly 1,100 yards from the school. By contrast, the two schools in Billings with the closest proximity to the Yellowstone County Detention Center are 1,100 and 1,140 yards respectively from that facility's property line. Incidentally, there are 600 to 700 inmates incarcerated there at the current time. This number is in a facility that was originally designed for a capacity of 434 inmates. A significant number of those inmates are waiting for a bed to open up in a forensic facility so that they can get their mental health treatment and a pathway to their day in court. Unbolded. Will inmates be driven in the path of elementary school students? Bolded. No, the inmates in custody of law enforcement and being transported to this facility will taken directly off the interstate ramp to Highway 10 and then about another block to the forensic facility. Once on facility grounds, they will be driven into a secure attached garage, Sally Port, and the garage doors will be closed. They will then be escorted by law enforcement from the Sally Port through a walk-through door into the secure part of the facility. They will be allowed nowhere near school children on a path. Unbolded. This has been specifically asked of me, so I will answer it publicly. You talk a lot about other prisons being in residential neighborhoods, but would you be okay with this facility in your backyard? Bolded. I have the advantage over most of you in that I have toured all of the state's major institutions multiple times. A month or so ago, I was in both the Montana State Prison and the Montana State Hospital. I have spent several hours in the Galen Forensic Facility and in most major and some smaller county detention facilities. At no time did I feel unsafe. A little over a month ago, we walked through the high security site at MSP in Deer Lodge. I would not have concerns having a forensic mental health facility near me. Keep in mind, most of the folks being treated at Warm Springs will eventually be released to community providers, and the vast majority of those serving time at Deer Lodge will eventually be released to pre-release facilities, probation and parole, and community providers in our cities and towns. I traveled the state in 2023 to 2025 timeframe, looking in depth at the needs that local governments face when it comes to behavior health issues. We heard from hundreds of citizens, providers, emergency responders, law enforcement officers, jail commanders, county attorneys, and families whose loved ones struggle with incarceration and behavior health issues. We can solve the need to serve one problem population with the construction of this facility, but there is much more to do in supporting and caring for your neighbors and friends that deal with behavior health issues, sometimes on a daily basis. Mr. Mayor and council members, I am happy to dialogue further on this issue when appropriate. You and of course your neighbors will get an opportunity to weigh in, likely at a public planning board meeting when the final proposal is rolled out there in its entirety for all to see. At that time, none of us will need to speculate about distances, layouts, building design, landscaping, parking lot design, or any other unknowns. The questions you are hearing now will be answered, perhaps not as quickly as you and your constituents would like, but over time they will be answered. Until then, I remain willing to help your constituents find accurate responses to address their questions. Senator John Esp. Communications from Matt Kuntz dated Friday, January 30th, sent to the city mayor and all of our council members. Dear Laurel City Council, please accept the attached letter of appreciation from NAMI Montana for your support for the new forensic mental health facility. Hopefully it provides some helpful information about the genesis of this effort at the legislature and how some of the challenges of Yellowstone County were tied to it from the beginning. NAMI Montana has also been involved with the creation of the Galen facility in 2015. Hopefully some of the things that we've learned over the last 10 years with that facility will be helpful as well. Thank you, Matt. This is the letter that NAMI Montana, and so that the public knows, NAMI stands for National Alliance on Mental Illness, that was sent to City Council on January 30th. Subject: new forensic mental health facility. Dear Laurel City Council, NAMI Montana works to improve the lives of Montanans with mental health conditions and their families through support, education, and advocacy. On behalf of NAMI Montana, I would like to thank you for your support in building a forensic facility in your community. As part of our work for Montana families, NAMI Montana tries to improve the interface between mental health conditions and the criminal justice system. It is hard, slow work with progress measured over the course of years. In 2015, we supported building the forensic facility in Galen. This was in response to the state locking offenders with severe mental health conditions in solitary confinement in Montana State Prison because they couldn't manage their medication needs and the behaviors related to their untreated mental health conditions. It was horrible for everyone involved. There was also a massive lawsuit with the ACLU and Disability Rights Montana. The forensic facility at Galen that came out of that nightmare has been a success for the state of Montana, people served by Galen, and the community that supports it. NAMI Montana and our allies in the legislature worked to improve the laws around mental health in the criminal justice system in the last decade. I think we have made some slow progress in that, but Montana's population of people needing forensic mental health services continues to grow. 10 years ago, the issue of a dangerous lack of forensic capacity showed up in the Montana State Prison. This time, the issue is starkest in county jails across Montana. The reality of the dangerous lack of forensic capacity in Montana came to a head for us and members of the Montana legislature during the hearing on Representative James Rivas's bill to make it possible for mental health evaluations to be offered in jails and prisons. This bill was well thought out, but desperate move to try to do something to address the massive backlog of people in jail in need of psychological evaluations. The testimony from jail staff, law enforcement, and county attorneys was incredibly powerful. The message was that Montana's county jails were overwhelmed with people with complex mental health needs who are waiting for some kind of forensic services. The testimony was excruciating. Jail staff desperately trying to serve prisoners that were well outside their facility's ability to safely serve. County attorneys searching for answers to move cases forward that were bogged down with either evaluations or treatment requirements to ensure that they met their burden for, quote unquote, fitness to proceed, end quote. Everyone knowing that it is just a matter of time before the state and the counties are hit with a massive lawsuit. No testimony was more powerful than those given by people in the legal system in Yellowstone County. Based upon the magnitude of the issue in Yellowstone County alone, it was clear that the state of Montana needed a new forensic facility. It was also clear that it needed to be able to easily serve Yellowstone County and the counties in eastern Montana. While there were a few turns or two in the hallways of the Capitol, that was the genesis of the bill that passed the legislature. NAMI Montana is grateful to the city of Laurel for hosting this facility that is critical to Montana and specifically Yellowstone County. While I understand that there are always concerns about the placement of public health and justice facilities, NAMI Montana expects that this facility will operate similarly to the successful forensic unit at Galen. The 32-bed patient population will be a relatively small facility in a well-designed building with good staffing ratios. Most of the patient stays will be a relatively short duration for either psychological evaluations or restoration of competency. Patients in need of long-term stays will eventually be transitioned to the group homes on the Montana State Hospital campus in Warm Springs. As described by the Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, most of the jobs in this facility will be for nursing staff and psychiatric assistants. These positions will offer great opportunities for the citizens of Laurel and also help bring in additional healthcare practitioners to Laurel who begin by working at the facility and then later transition to healthcare roles in the community. Thank you for supporting this facility that is so essential for Montana families that have been impacted by mental health conditions in the criminal justice system. We really appreciate any help you can provide in moving it forward. Sincerely, Matt Kuntz, JD, MHA, Executive Director of NAMI Montana. Communications sent by Russ Bray to our city CAO and city mayor. Dear Mr. Markegard, as a rural resident and former member of the City County Planning Board, I am officially announcing my vote against the proposed site for the Montana State Mental Prison. I firmly believe it is a poor location for the safety and comfort of the local residents of Laurel and surrounding community. I understand the convenience for city hookups for the state, but that is an irresponsible consideration for the community under the circumstances. The state of Montana has land north of town. The city of Laurel and the community should not have to bear the burden of city hookups for the state. Therefore, I recommend the proposed site for the state mental prison be scrapped. Sincerely, Russell Bray. Communications sent from Christine Jones to Councilmember Naylor Tuesday, February 3rd, entitled Mental Health Facility. Dear Sarah Naylor, I am writing to express my strong opposition to the proposed construction of a mental health facility in the city of Laurel. I am concerned that this facility will block the future growth of our community and place an undue strain on local services. Additionally, there is no tax benefit from the state to offset the many hidden costs that will fall upon local taxpayers. Beyond the financial impact, I believe this facility poses a public safety risk and will negatively affect property values in the area. I respectfully ask that you do not allow this project to move forward in Laurel. Thank you for your time and for considering the concerns of our community. Sincerely, Christine Willis. Communications sent Wednesday, February 4th from Mona Ray Atticus to all of the city council members. Hello all. After the February 3rd, 2026 council meeting, I came home to a neighborhood disturbance. I called a non-emergency number and an officer went to check on the source of the noise. I live to the north of the Town and Country building on 8th Avenue. The noise was Town and Country hired someone to wash down their concrete in the areas of their gas pumps. The noise went on past midnight. Today, I will be calling the manager, Wes Burlington, and let him know that I was not impressed with his neighborly shenanigans. I have lived in Laurel for over 20 years, and it is time for a noise ordinance. I have attached a copy of an example. It does not need to be detailed, just something that allows the residents of this area to be able to sleep. I will watch for this to be added to the workshop and council agenda. Please forward a copy of this letter to our city attorney. Thank you, Mona Ray Atticus. The letter that is attached to this. Common features of small city noise ordinances. Quiet hours. Typically, ordinances prohibit loud noises between 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. Prohibited noises. Common nuisances including loud music, barking dogs, loud partying, and operating heavy equipment or power tools, including mowers and blowers, during night hours. Enforcement. These are often enforced by local police, with violations sometimes treated as civil infractions, misdemeanors, or public nuisances. Exemptions. Typical exemptions include emergency vehicles, public service construction, and sometimes permitted special events or festivals. Measurement. While smaller towns may rely on officer discretion, plainly audible standard, others may use decibel meters, e.g. 55 dBA for residential at night. Specific examples of smaller local ordinances. Residential noise, loud noises that disturb the peace of a reasonable person, such as amplified music or lawnmowers in residential areas, are prohibited during nighttime hours. Vehicle idling, Engines on vehicles weighing over 10,000 pounds are restricted from idling for more than 15 minutes near residential areas. Construction repairs. Construction projects are often subject to specific louder decibel limits, but may be allowed to operate within reasonable permitted hours. Communication sent Tuesday, January 27th from Robert Dupuis to the Ward 4 and Ward 4B council members. In my opinion, this is a very bad idea to locate this facility in our little town of Laurel. My wife and I have been homeowners here since 2017. Laurel isn't perfect, but bringing all the problem people from all over the state here is not the kind of population growth that is beneficial to our community. Surely there are other options available, like expanding the existing facility at Warm Springs. Let's not ruin Laurel for the sake of whoever is benefiting from this decision. And that also included a note saying regarding the initiative to make Laurel, Montana the home for this facility. Communication sent February 6th to one of our council members, Ward 1B, from Mona Ray Atticus. And I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's names. Dear City Council, I agree a mental prison is needed on the east side of Montana, but not in Laurel at the 114-acre site that has been selected. This site is surrounded by homes, a school, and a pristine golf course. This site is less than 500 yards from West Laurel Elementary and even closer to the softball fields used by the youth of Laurel. This mental prison should be located near our 2 hospitals in Billings or in an industrial park, far away from any homes and especially children. The state-owned land of Buffalo Trail is more suitable than the current selected site. I sell real estate. Our property values will drop. Look at Warm Springs. No one wants to live there. Why? The staff of this facility will commute from Billings and surrounding communities. What value does this bring to Laurel? None. Our roads, water, and sewer are already failing. Kurt Markegard and Mayor Dave Wagner want you to vote yes for this annexation, but have told my client that because he is currently leasing to a pot shop, his 5 acres will not be considered for annexation. You as a councilman, woman, are our only hope to stop this prison from being built in Laurel. Please vote no to the annexation of this 114-acre parcel owned by Miller Troy LLC. Communication sent from Allie M., resident of Laurel, to Councilmember Closey on Thursday, February 5th. Richard Closey, to the Laurel leadership team and Laurel representatives. I have been a dedicated resident of Laurel since 2019 and owned multiple properties within the community. I also put intentional effort to give back to the community, local business, local community events. I am formally expressing my opposition to the proposed state mental forensic facility project. I am deeply concerned for its future. The current division caused by the proposed facility project is clear. Laurel residents say no. It is evident that the overwhelming majority of residents, I estimate nearly 90%, are opposed to both the location of this facility and the manner in which leadership has handled the process. My opposition is informed by my professional background in both healthcare and public safety and security. Viewed through the lens of risk management and community welfare, this project introduces significant liabilities with no tangible benefit to our city or residents. Placing it near our schools and children poses its own safety risks. 459 yards from the elementary school. Our utilities and resources will continue to strain with this project, and Laurel currently lacks an emergency room, and the addition of this facility would place an unsustainable strain on our existing law enforcement, fire rescue, and medical response teams. We are being asked to absorb substantial risk while gaining nothing in return. Unfortunately, regarding this project's progression, I remain unmoved. In fact, I'm disheartened. Previously, I placed implicit trust in our leadership. I trusted the process and I trusted the chain of command. However, this experience has made me realize that such trust was misplaced for some time now. It's more concerning that we have a credibility gap in our leadership that should have never been there. The inconsistencies between written statements and live meetings have been glaring. To be frank, the contradictory narratives presented to the community feel fundamentally disrespectful to the residents who elected you. The faith we placed in the leadership team has been lost. We should have been offered a choice, a vote, or at the very least, a transparent conversation. Instead, we have been shut out of the process. We do not want this facility at the currently set location, nor do we want it connected to our utilities. I urge you to recognize that this location is fundamentally wrong for Laurel and our utilities, resources, and our residents. Please respect the will of the community you represent and reconsider your support for this project. We want accountability. We want transparency. I ask that you advocate for us. Advocate Laurel's voice in halting the project. Laurel residents say no. Communications from Maggie Lowell to several of our, actually to all of our ward members. Yes, to all of our ward members. I apologize, or council members. Dear members of the Laurel City Council, I am writing as a county resident to formally express my opposition to the state of Montana's proposal to construct a mental health prison in or near Laurel. I want to be clear that my concerns are not rooted in opposition to mental health treatment or services. Montana absolutely needs improved, humane, and effective mental health care. My concerns relate specifically to the siting and scale of a secure correctional style facility and the long-term impact such a placement would have on our community. Facilities of this nature carry significant implications for land use compatibility, infrastructure demand, emergency response capacity, and community planning. These impacts fall disproportionately on local residents and local government, while decision-making authority and operational control remain at the state level. Of particular concern is the proposed site's proximity to established residential areas and an elementary school my child attends. Regardless of the population served or the operational safeguards proposed, locating a secure state institution adjacent to a school raises legitimate planning and zoning questions. Schools are community anchors, and their surrounding areas are generally expected to support low-impact, family-oriented uses. This concern is about appropriate land use and community design, not fear. Similarly, the location's proximity to my brother and sister-in-law's property, where they are raising very young children, highlights the broader issue of placing a large correctional facility within close range of family neighborhoods. Families deserve clarity, predictability, and stability in their living environments, especially when decisions are made that will shape the area for decades. Laurel and the surrounding county already face challenges related to growth, limited healthcare capacity, and strained public services. Introducing a large state-run mental health prison without firm commitments for long-term funding, staffing, and infrastructure support places additional responsibility on local systems that are already under pressure. I am also concerned about the precedent this sets. Our community should not be selected primarily for convenience or availability. Projects of this magnitude require robust local engagement, transparent impact analysis, and serious consideration of alternative locations or treatment models that better align with community planning principles. I respectfully urge the City Council to oppose this proposal and to advocate for comprehensive impact studies, meaningful public input, and alternatives that do not place a disproportionate burden on Laurel and county residents. Thank you for your time and for your service to our community. I appreciate your consideration and your commitment to thoughtful long-term decision-making on behalf of local families. Excuse me. Communication sent by John and Corrine Tomek to my office dated Sunday, February 8th. I am writing as a nearby property owner to formally express my concerns regarding the proposed placement of a state mental health institution on property that directly borders my land. I support the need for adequate and humane mental health services. My concern is not with the purpose of the facility, but with the appropriateness of this specific location. The land the state has purchased directly touches and borders my property. In addition, my 8-year-old granddaughter lives with her father in a home located less than a football field, approximately 300 feet, from the proposed site. Placing a large state institutional facility in such immediate proximity to residential property and to a young child's home raises serious and legitimate concerns regarding safety, security, supervision, land use compatibility, and long-term quality of life. This site is outside city limits, yet appears to rely on the city for access, infrastructure, and services. As a result, nearby residents bear the impacts of the facility without the protections typically provided through city zoning, buffering requirements, and comprehensive planning standards. Once constructed, the impacts of this facility will be permanent. Effects on surrounding properties, including loss of use and enjoyment, safety considerations, neighborhood character, and property values cannot be reversed. Montana has a long tradition of respecting private property rights and ensuring that major land use decisions are made thoughtfully and fairly, especially when families and children are directly affected. I respectfully urge the City Council to oppose this specific location and to advocate for alternative sites that are properly zoned, adequately buffered from residential homes, and better suited for an institutional facility of this nature. Thank you for your time, consideration, and service to our community. I appreciate your attention to the concerns of residents who will be most directly affected by this decision. Communication sent by Dennis and Sandy Conway, Saturday, February 7th, to my office. Good morning. We live outside the city of Laurel, but in the area of the proposed location for the Forensic Mental Health Prison. I would like it of record that we are opposed to this location or our community for this type of facility. Our concerns are safety and how a facility such as this would affect land home values. If the 114 acres was annexed into the city of Laurel, what control would you have for their future plans for the remaining 104 acres? What else would be brought into our community? It has been stated that they would only require a 10-acre parcel. Thank you for placing our wish for your council members to vote no on the annexation. Communications, sent by Janice Taylor, Laurel, Montana resident, to our city council members. Dear City Council, I am writing as a concerned Laurel resident to formally express my strong opposition to the proposed construction of a facility for the criminally insane within our community, particularly at its current planned location. The proposed site is located approximately 500 feet from an elementary school and within an established residential neighborhood. This proximity raises serious concerns regarding public safety, child welfare, and responsible land use planning. Schools and residential areas should remain protected spaces, and the placement of a high-security mental health correctional facility so close to children is both alarming and inappropriate. In addition to safety concerns, this project directly conflicts with the intent of existing zoning laws. Residential zoning is designed to preserve quality of life, promote stability, and encourage thoughtful community growth. Including a facility of this nature into a residential area undermines those principles and sets a troubling precedent for future land use decisions. The long-term economic consequences are also significant. The presence of a prison for the criminally insane in close proximity to homes and schools will inevitably lead to decreased property values, making it more difficult for current residents to sell their homes and discouraging new families from moving to our town. This will deter residential development, private investment, and business growth. In turn, this could cause stagnation to the city's future and reduce its tax base. Furthermore, the strain this facility would place on already limited local resources cannot be ignored. Emergency medical services, fire departments, and law enforcement agencies are not currently equipped to absorb the increased demand such a facility would generate. Diverting these critical services to support the prison would reduce response for local residents and place unnecessary risks on the Laurel community. Additional concerns include infrastructure stress, staffing logistics, and long-term operational impacts, many of which would disproportionately affect the local community while offering little benefit in return. While I recognize the importance of secure and appropriate facilities for individuals requiring mental health treatment, such facilities must be placed in locations that prioritize public safety, adhere to zoning standards, and respect the well-being of surrounding communities. This proposed location fails to meet any of those expectations. I respectfully urge you to oppose this project as currently planned and to advocate for alternative locations that do not place children, families, property values, and residential neighborhoods at unnecessary risk. Our community deserves thoughtful planning, transparency, and a meaningful voice in decisions that will permanently shape our future. Thank you for your time, service, and attention to this important matter. Letter sent by Laurel resident Sandy Whitman. Letter of opposition to the Laurel City Council. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, dated February 6th. To the members of the Laurel City Council, I am writing to you today as a concerned Laurel citizen in regards to the forensic mental jail facility that is proposed to be built just outside of our town of Laurel. I have lived in Laurel for 14 years now. I came to help raise my grandchildren who attended West Elementary. I have friends and relatives here that will be affected by this. I have friends that live right across the road and have lived there for many years, raising families and run local businesses. What will they be looking out their front window at? It could be anything, even 10 to 12 foot high fences with barbed wire or razor ribbon along the top to discourage anyone from climbing over. No one really knows what it will look like to passerbys and people living right there next to it. So many families live right by there that purchased their homes there because it was a safe place to raise their families. Can their children still play in their backyards without fear? Biggest concern, it is dangerous for the children, and most importantly, they need to be protected. West Elementary, less than 450 yards away. With the way society has changed, how our children already live in a sort of lockdown at the schools for their safety. Now this right by there, no. Now this right by there, no. That is so wrong. Yes, they will have some kind of security there, but it only takes one mistake, just one, to change a child and family's life forever. One, whose will it be? Someone you know or someone that you love? I have friends that own small businesses here that depend on that income to support their families. Will this affect their businesses to the point they have to close the doors? Putting this in our little town will change it forever, and not in a good way. These people that will be coming there aren't there for traffic tickets. These people have committed serious crimes like murder and rape, and that is why they have to be there. Whether they are insane or not doesn't make a difference, because they are dangerous to the public and should not be put within close proximity of innocent children and citizens. Transportation of these people from one place to another poses another threat to the general public and to our citizens. We are also proud of our schools that have been newly built and updated. We are so proud of the football, baseball, track, and new soccer fields being built, and our children that play all those healthy school sport activities, good for body and mind. I love the way this town comes alive with pride to support our children when the games are on. That is Laurel. It is alive, not dying because of this jail to be possibly put here. So many towns come here to participate in these sports. Are they still going to want to come to our town for games now? Will we lose families that live here that will take their children elsewhere, somewhere they consider safe to raise a family? If we lose families, what will happen here? We are all proud of Laurel, and for good reason. It is a safe, friendly place to live. What about the firemen, emergency responders, and police? What kind of unnecessary danger and stress are you putting on them? Our firefighters are volunteers and not paid. We already can't respond to our ambulance needs, and this can only add to that problem. There is a fundraiser being done by a caring 8th grader, Claire Anderson, raising funds for our much-needed ambulance. Because we can't fund it through our city funds. What about our police that protect our community? What extra danger are being put on them with just the Love's truck stop, let alone a forensic mental health facility? Truck stops are known to be hot spots for crime. They are high-risk areas for crimes including drugs, vandalism, robbery, and prostitution. This has been annexed into the city of Laurel, so I assume our police will be responsible for responding to anything that happens there. It is so wrong that they have been in touch with the jail about property here in Laurel, namely the site on Old Highway 10 for this forensic mental jail with no thought for the citizens of Laurel. The state was actually steered away from the site north of town by Kurt Markegard because he said it would be too costly for the state to run the sewer and water lines to the city. Who does this Mayor Wagner and Kurt Markegard work for? They work for the city of Laurel, and that is where their loyalty should be, not with anyone else. It appears the site north of town would have been within a little over a mile of a residential area where I believe Kurt Markegard owns a home so very close to where he lives. Is it just coincidence that he suggested the site on Old Highway 10 to them instead because he was worried about the cost to them? Neither piece of land is really what the city of Laurel residents want anyway. The one outside of town is still too close to innocent families and a straight shot to our high school where families' children are at. Too many things are pointing to Mayor Wagner and Kurt Markegard being involved in selling out our city of Laurel without even a second thought about what the people that live here would want or how they would be affected. How many times did Kurt Markegard say he had no idea what this was to be? However, in different news articles back in September 30th, 2025, Q2 Montana News Leader article written by David J. said Mayor Wagner had met with the State Board of Investments about a piece of property for the State Forensic Mental Health Hospital on Old Highway 10 on West Main Street. How is it that the reporter knew what kind of facility this was, but Mayor Wagner and Kurt Markegard had no clue? No truth in that at all. Mayor Wagner stated he liked the idea of bringing the mental facility here, and you can bet he knew just as well as anyone what kind. It was a forensic mental jail facility for criminals. Laurel Planning Director Kurt Markegard declined an on-camera interview to give more details. Is that surprising? No, it isn't. It was being done behind all of our backs. U.S. News by Associated Press, December 5th, 2025. Markegard hinted at a location just outside of city limits with adjacent water and sewer lines under installation and other criteria, quote, that would make building the facility remarkably successful, end quote. Wow, thank you, Kurt Markegard. Laurel City Planning Department did not respond to a Monday request from MTFP for a list of the parcels the state was considering. Still undercover things happening with our city officials. Then there is still the email from Kurt Markegard way back in August 22nd, 2025. Kurt Markegard, on behalf of Laurel's Mayor Wagner, basically outlining that the state, how this could be accomplished, right down to changing the zoning to public so that they could be annexed in. Who is in charge of the planning committee? I heard it is Kurt Markegard. Well, isn't that convenient for this whole thing going on? It is just hard to believe that the people that are voted in to protect our city and our citizens are really not doing that at all. The land in question should be left for new residential homes that will help build our city of Laurel. That was the intention, wasn't it? To make our city grow and prosper. They would be paying taxes into the city to help with needed improvements, unlike the state that will not. One more thing. There is an article in the Daily Montanan dated November 10th, 2025 that is speaking of the need for a new women's prison. Not a lot of details except overcrowded facilities, and they need 400 more beds. They have $250 million to construct it. But if the state has 114 acres here just outside of town, what else can be built there without any say from the citizens once they have been annexed into the city of Laurel? I think they might be able to do anything they want at that point. There was mention of jobs it would bring to our city. Well, the jobs will be limited mostly to qualified mental health workers such as forensic psychologists, forensic psychiatrists, psychiatric nurse practitioners, licensed clinical workers, and licensed professional counselors and mental health intake specialists. They will likely commute from other areas. The licensed employees probably would have no desire to live this close to it either. The jobs for the general public will likely be housekeeping, kitchen, and maybe grounds care. These jobs will probably not pay enough in regards to the danger the people will be working there. The mayor and CAO have not been representing the citizens of Laurel in a transparent way and protecting their best interests. The mayor has not conducted himself in a professional manner on several occasions. They both refused to answer questions asked of them at all or truthfully. The attorney was asked for her resignation by Mayor Wagner at the last meeting on February 3rd because she did not choose to lie to the council members and attending citizens. That kind of conduct is not acceptable, and they should consider stepping down for not telling us all the truth and informing us all of what was happening in regards to our city of Laurel. So finally, I just am asking you, the city council, to not approve this forensic mental jail hospital to come to our city of Laurel. This is your town too, and you cannot believe it is good or beneficial to Laurel more than any of the rest of us do. If the citizens already here don't want to live by this forensic mental jail, then what new families will? Please protect the city you love and live in, raising your families also. Please just say no. No forensic mental jail facility for Laurel. It is not for us. It can be put somewhere else where it won't be such a danger to the public, to our families. Big Sky, Montana has plenty of land elsewhere in eastern Montana. Thank you, Sandy Whitman. Communication sent by City of Laurel resident Kelly Martin to my office on Thursday, February 5th. Dear members of the Laurel City Council, I am writing as a concerned homeowner and resident of Laurel to formally oppose the proposed placement of a mental health prison facility approximately 400 to 500 yards from my home and in close proximity to an established residential neighborhood and West Elementary School. While I fully recognize the importance of accessible mental health services and appropriate facilities for those in need, I strongly believe that this specific location is unsuitable and poses serious concerns for nearby residents, families, and children. First, the placement of a correctional-style mental health facility in such close proximity to homes will inevitably and negatively impact surrounding property values. Many residents, including myself, have made significant financial investments in our homes with the reasonable expectation that zoning and land use decisions would protect the stability and integrity of our neighborhood. A facility of this nature undermines that expectation and places an unfair financial burden on homeowners who had no voice in the original planning. Second, there are legitimate safety concerns associated with situating a secure mental health detention facility near family neighborhoods and an elementary school. West Elementary School serves young children who deserve a safe, secure environment free from unnecessary risk. Regardless of security measures, the perception and potential for incidents, including escapes, disturbances, or increased law enforcement activity, creates anxiety for parents, residents, and school staff alike. Finally, residential neighborhoods are not the appropriate setting for facilities that require heightened security, monitoring, and emergency response. There are more suitable locations within the city or surrounding areas that are better zoned, less densely populated, and more appropriate for this type of facility without placing undue impact on families and homeowners. I respectfully urge the City Council to reconsider this location and to engage directly with affected residents before moving forward. Responsible planning requires balancing the needs of the broader community with the rights, safety, and financial well-being of those who live nearby. Thank you for your time, consideration, and service to the City of Laurel. Communication sent by Laurel resident Lisa Stutterheim on Wednesday, February 4th to one of our ward members, or I apologize, council members, Councilmember Naylor. Dear Sarah Naylor, I am a resident of Laurel at 5 Beartooth Court, Laurel, Montana 59044, and I'm writing to urge you to vote no on the proposed annexation for the forensic mental health facility. This 32-bed facility would house justice system involved individuals just 459 yards from West Elementary School. Our community deserves transparency about how this location was selected and what security measures will protect our children and neighborhoods. Key concerns: no tax revenue to Laurel despite increased burden on emergency services. Proximity to schools and residential areas. Lack of public input in the decision-making process. Inadequate information about security and safety protocols. The state cannot proceed without City Council approval of annexation. I urge you to vote no and demand full transparency from city leadership about this process. Communication sent by Kathleen Ward, concerned resident, sent directly to my office on Thursday, February 5th, entitled Concerns Regarding Proposed Mental Health Facility Location. Dear members of the City Council, my name is Kathleen Ward and I am a resident of this community. I am writing to formally express my opposition to the proposed mental health facility at its currently planned location and our small community. While I support access to mental health care and recognize its importance, I have serious concerns about placing this facility so close to schools and established residential neighborhoods. The proximity raises valid questions regarding student safety, neighborhood impact, traffic, and overall quality of life for nearby families. Additionally, our city is already experiencing strain on essential services such as police, fire, emergency medical response. At this time, there does not appear to be sufficient infrastructure or staffing capacity to adequately support the increased demands that this type of facility would require. Without a clear and well-funded plan to expand these services, the burden will fall on a system that is already stretched thin. I respectfully urge the City Council to reconsider the proposed location and to vote no. The state can look for other areas that allow for appropriate space, security, accessibility, and service support without negatively impacting schools and residential communities. Thank you for your time, consideration, and service to our city. I ask that you prioritize thoughtful planning, public safety, and transparency as you move forward with this decision. Communication sent by, I believe based upon the email, it's not signed, but I believe based upon the electronic address or email address, it is from Renee Iverson, sent February 9th to the city mayor as well as to all of our city council members. To whom this may concern, I am writing as a property owner whose land borders the proposed site for the new mental health facility. While it may be unusual, I wish to express my full support for this project. I recently purchased my property in August 2026 with the intention of living outside city limits, allowing us to keep animals and operate our business on site. Additionally, we homeschool our 2 children and plan to establish a large garden this summer. Our children are active members of 4-H. My primary reason for supporting this facility is that it will prevent the area below my property from being developed into a subdivision. I have no concerns regarding potential decreases in property value, and I am aware that incidents of escapes from such facilities are statistically minimal. Thank you for your time and service. I'm willing to give my name and address, but I would like my information to remain anonymous due to how this community seems to be treating people who support this facility, and I do not want my business damaged. We also have a neighbor who complains to the county about everything, and she has made it clear that she will sue over anything. As I said, that is unsigned. Communication sent from Tyler Hansen to city mayor and to 2 of our city council members, dated Monday, February 9th. Mayor Wagner and Mr. Markegard, I'm writing to formally express my deep disappointment and concern regarding the actions and conduct of the mayor of Laurel, Dave Wagner, and the chief administrative officer, Kurt Markegard. You have been dishonest with our community. Despite repeated requests, you have failed to provide receipts or documentation to substantiate the claims you have made regarding the proposed mental health facility. Transparency is not optional in public service. When facts are withheld or misrepresented, trust is broken, and once broken, it is rarely restored. In addition to the lack of honesty, your behavior has been profoundly disrespectful. The manner in which our city attorney was treated during the meeting on February 3rd, 2026 was disgraceful and unprofessional. She was fulfilling her duty to the city of Laurel and its residents, and the treatment she received warrants a sincere and public apology, not only to her, but also to the city council and to the community who witnessed it. The emails on record in Mr. Markegard's extended filibuster during that same meeting further demonstrate a troubling pattern. An attempt to push through a facility without full disclosure, while dismissing legitimate concerns raised by council members and residents alike. This facility is being proposed to house criminal populations in close proximity to an elementary school. That is not only concerning, it is irresponsible. You cannot reasonably expect this community to accept such risk without clear, complete, and honest information. Let me be clear. I fully support mental health services and believe they are critically important. However, that is not truly what is being presented here. If this facility is intended to house criminal offenders, then say so plainly. What is phase 2? What is phase 3? What additional populations are planned? The refusal to answer these questions directly only fuels public distrust. You are facing a community that is angry, frustrated, and demanding accountability, and understandably so. I recognize that you are under pressure. I recognize that you are tired and have personal lives beyond City Hall. but so does every resident of Laurel. Public service is not an excuse-driven role. It is a responsibility-driven one. No more deflection, no more excuses. It is time for clear, direct, and truthful answers. Thank you, Tyler Hansen. And thank you for everyone's patience. We just have a few more to get through here. Communications from Laurel resident Mike Nardella, sent to my office dated Thursday, February 5th. To whom it may concern. Though I am not a city resident of Laurel, I do own a business that is located on 7th Avenue on the west end of town. My office building would be roughly 840 yards from the proposed mental hospital. I am 100% opposed to this being shoved down our throats. Those in the Laurel government have not been forthcoming with us about the dealings with the state on this matter. The hospital in Warm Springs has had documented large staff turnovers and is notoriously understaffed. Warm Springs lost their CMS certification a few years back. There is not proper governance with that facility. How can we expect any different with this proposed hospital? Anything could happen with a person that is not of right mind and criminally insane, of which this facility will house. We do not need that potential risk this close to residential areas or close to our kids' and grandkids' West Elementary School. Has the city of Laurel evaluated the demand on our law enforcement and ambulatory services? There have been numerous documented cases of Laurel citizens that did not have access to an ambulance. If our city's ambulances are having to be dispatched to the hospital, they won't be able to assist citizens. It is also my understanding that local jails are required to house inmates coming and going from the hospital. All of our local jails are beyond their holding capacities. With this hospital, future growth in neighborhood subdivisions to the west of Laurel will cease and property values will plummet. And as it has been repeated over and over, the city of Laurel nor Yellowstone County will no longer receive real estate taxes that are currently being paid by the current private owner or any future private owner, such as a residential housing developer. That lost revenue will then have to be absorbed by the taxpayers of Laurel. I hope the city council has also reviewed the light pollution this facility will create. The security lights required of a facility like this will undoubtedly flood the neighborhood. Light pollution has always reduced surrounding property values. Any new job recipients of the hospital will need housing. Those coming in for these jobs will most likely look for a rental house or apartment. Some may purchase, but there is already a shortage of affordable rentals in Laurel. I see young families looking for affordable housing all the time. This will only make that ability to find housing that much worse. Lastly, just look back a short few years ago. Laurel has been plagued by water supply issues by the fluctuations of the Yellowstone River. There is no doubt in my mind that this proposed facility's water demands will stress our already fragile water treatment center's ability to address the city's water needs. I urge you to consult with the Laurel City Council to come to their senses and stop this. This is not what Laurel needs or wants. Communications sent by Cheryl Hill, concerned Laurel resident and business owner, to the city mayor, Laurel city planner, my office, several representatives and our city council members, as well as copied to several state individuals. Hello and thank you for your time. We as a community put together a questionnaire that would allow Laurel residents to provide their feedback about the proposed state mental health facility and prison in Laurel, Montana. As you will see reading through these responses, it is obvious that our Laurel community has reservations and concerns about this facility being here, but mostly the location the state has chosen to put a buy-sell on. It was stated by our governor, quote, "You would not put this into a community that didn't want it," end quote. And there is a reference link provided. On-site selection, quote, "We're not going to go somewhere where it's not wanted," end quote, Gianforte said in an interview regarding the search for a location in the Laurel Billings area. This is an accumulation of responses that were received from a community questionnaire. You will find 314 individual responses. I have also included a screenshot diagram graph of the responses. I will represent, but again, the screenshot of this will be entered into the public record The screenshot of the questionnaire reflects that 92.4% of those that registered on this questionnaire are opposed to having the facility. 5.1% agree with having the facility. 1.6% indicate that they are not sure how they feel. 0.3% indicate that they would be more comfortable if it was in a different location. An additional 0.3% indicate that they feel like it needs to be moved to some other facility. And 0.3% indicate that I'm opposed to this particular facility. Communication sent by Trish Little, email to each of the city council members, dated Tuesday, February 10th, and entitled Mental Health Facility. This particular one that I'm going to read was addressed to Council President Canopy, but the same communications were emailed to each council member. Hello, Mr. Canopy. My name is Trish Little. I am a citizen of Laurel. I wish to express my concern with regard to the possibility of having a mental health detention facility. I may be using the incorrect term for it, so please forgive me, located in our town. I am not in favor of it. I am deeply concerned with the location, which is in close proximity to one of our elementary schools. I am also very concerned about the potential for increased taxes and the strain this facility will place on our town's infrastructure. Our per capita tax burden is already substantial for such a small town. We do not need or wish to shoulder additional costs that will only continue to increase over time. I also find it deeply concerning that the entire process has been so, quote, backroom, end quote, for lack of a better term. Why was it initiated without any input from the citizens of this town? It casts a very ugly shadow on our city government, deserved or not. The whole thing reeks of dishonesty and fraud. Given the current climate in which we find ourselves as a nation, with rampant fraud being uncovered at every turn, I find it not only disheartening, but shocking that our city employees, both elected and hired, would engage in something like this. Americans are tired of being treated like this. We are tired of being financially brutalized by our government officials. We are very, very tired of being taken advantage of. I encourage you to stand up for the citizens of this town and fight to deny the placement of this facility in Laurel. I appreciate your taking the time to read my message. Trish Little. That concludes what we have been able to gather preceding this meeting with regard to public comment. I again invite city council members that if I missed something that you have received that somehow did not get put into this packet, that you include it in ex parte communications when Council President Canopy calls for that disclosure. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you for reading all of those papers for us, all the notes. It's a big deal and I do appreciate it. Council, it's so, give me a break here. I'm gonna do this sooner or later, right? So, council's disclosure of ex parte communications. Councilmember Mize, or Mize, good grief. McKay, we're with you.
Thank you. I do have a few things to share, just some responses that I made to some messages that came in. My first one that I have listed here, last week, Attorney Brockman read a lengthy letter from Ms. Catlin Galchel, who is a mental health professional in our community. And I did respond to her message, thanking her for sharing her thoughts on this matter, and that I appreciated her unique perspective as a mental health professional. Another just conversation that I had that I wanted to document occurred on Thursday, January 29th, with a local citizen who asked me what I thought about the state mental health hospital. I told him that I couldn't say a lot, but that it's been an interesting process. I asked him what he thought as a citizen of Laurel. He wanted to know more about the process, and I told him that much would likely come out if the state files for annexation. regarding the use of infrastructure, traffic, and emergency services. He asked me how many people the hospital would serve. I told him that the plan was stated for 32 beds initially. He expressed concerns with it being so close to the school. So that was his and I's conversation. I just wanted to document. I did respond to Senator Esp's message, just thanking him for the information and that I would hope that it would be disseminated to the community. Thank you for reading all of that. And I also responded to Ms. Little's that you just read. I try to respond to the ones that come to just me. I didn't realize that it was sent to everyone. So I just thanked her for reaching out and appreciated sharing her thoughts with me. And then you also read the message from Monterey about the noise ordinance. I replied to her and CC'd the mayor, the attorney, and the police chief, and thanked her for reaching out and told her that I would add her concern to our emergency services committee meeting agenda to discuss the issue with our police chief, and that meeting is Monday, February 23rd at 6 p.m. So I will send this document to you as well, Brittany. Thank you.
Are there any more council members that would like to use the ex parte communications? Jessica Banks, go ahead.
I had a phone call today from a member of the community expressing their concern also. And I did respond to him because he asked if when we would be voting on it. And I told him that is something we were not sure of because it hasn't even been requested yet to be voted on. I also mentioned that the zoning was still in residential zoning, just to let them know that we would have to wait for that to go through as well. That's all.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the council that would like to speak on ex parte, please? Yeah, there is no public hearing.
Consent agenda.
Consent items. I will first ask the council members, if any council members wish to remove any items from the council or the consent agenda calendar for discussion and consideration. Yeah, do I put under none anyway? Just none, okay. Are there any council requests to remove anything from the consent agenda? Hearing none. Is there any motion to approve consent agenda?
Council President, I move to approve the consent agenda for February 10th, 2026. Second.
Any public comment? Council discussion? Vote? The vote is, I'm calling for the vote. All in favor, say aye, please. Aye. So the vote has carried on 8-0. Oh, good night. Turn this thing on, I promise. I think I have a loud voice, but reports of boards and commissions. Budget Finance Committee minutes of January 13th, 2026.
Just read through all of them. Yeah, just read.
Then, okay, so number 10 is Library Board minutes of September 9th, 2025. Library Board minutes of October 14th, 2025. Library Board minutes of November 11th, 2025. Laurel Airport Authority minutes of January 20th, 2026. Emergency Services Committee minutes of January 26th, 2026. Laurel Urban Renewal Agency minutes of December 22nd, 2025. Laurel Urban Renewal Agency minutes from January 12th, 2026. And Laurel Urban Renewal Agency's minutes of January 26th, 26. Any audience participation? You have a 3-minute limit. Please state your name, address for us, please. Oh,
There we go. Juanita Bear, 1113 West 4th Street, Laurel, Montana. I invite each of you here to understand we appreciate the hard work you are doing. I invite each one of you here to build trust with the community members which you serve. I invite you to oppose the mental health forensic prison, and I do oppose that moving forward. Every culture throughout history has had a code of treat others how you want to be treated. You have the amazing responsibility as public servants, and we thank you for your service. You have the amazing responsibility as public servants to either fulfill your responsibility of serving those who elected you or breaking trust with those who elected you. I have worked in the mental and behavioral health field with children at Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch. And I would be willing to obtain special training to be part of the prison ministry if the prison were located in a different position. Can you really move this forward when those you serve are opposed to it? So I thank you, Sarah Naylor. I thank you, Jessica Banks. I thank you, Irving Wilkie. I thank you, Jody McKay. And I'm sorry, my eyesight is not good, but I thank you, Tom Canopy and the attorney and Kelly and Kurt Markegard and Brittany and Richard and Casey and Brent. I thank you for your service as public servants. I invite you to build trust with the community members who elected you. I oppose the forensic mental health prison. And again, I'm just repeating myself for emphasis, every culture has had the code of treat others how you want to be treated. When you have the entire community, majority of the entire community against this, how can you move it forward? Again, working in the mental health field as I have, I want to do what is right. And I would be willing to get special training to be part of a prison ministry, not where it's located. The community is against it. As public servants, will you really be serving our community by moving this forward? So I know it's a hard situation that you are in. However, I believe that you guys have the character to move forward the right thing for the community, which is opposing this facility. Thank you.
thank you for that. And is there anybody else in the audience participation? You have 3 minutes. Please step to the podium, state your name and your address, please.
Julie Jones, 1201 West 4th Street. Mayor Wagoner, who's not here, and the members of the Laurel City Council, thank you for your service. I understand completely what you're going through. I've actually served on town council and school board in Fromberg years ago, and I was on county planning in Carbon County. So I actually years ago worked for the Laurel City as a consultant for housing, and this when Chuck Rogers was mayor. That was decades ago. Anyway, I'm here because the residents of Laurel are watching the development of the proposed forensic mental health facility with deep concern. I'm not here to talk about safety or location. I'm here to talk to you about the oath you took to sit on this board. When you took your seat, you solemnly swore to faithfully execute the duties of your office. In the text of this facility, a project coordinated by the mayor, the planning director, and the Board of Investments, the word faithfully is under a microscope. We are asking you today to remember that your authority doesn't come from the state board. It comes from the people of this city and the surrounding community. We ask you to look at this project through the lens of that oath and ask yourselves, is this truly a faithful representation of the people of Laurel? Finally, I want to address the procedural crossroads currently before you. You are being asked to amend the city's growth policy and potentially approve the annexation of the land. These are not mere administrative box-checking exercises. They are the most powerful tools you have to shape the future of Laurel. I urge you to take a clear public stance on the suitability of this facility now before you move forward with these changes. Once you rewrite the city's roadmap and expand the borders to accommodate this project, the momentum of the machine often becomes unstoppable. Your oath to preserve and protect applies to the city's boundaries in the long-term vision. Do not change the laws to fit a project that has not yet earned the trust of the community. Use your authority today to ensure that the growth policy reflects the people's will, not the Board of the Investments agenda. Don't wait until the ink is dry to decide if this is right for Laurel. Thank you again for your service, and please say no to this project.
Thank you. And do we have anybody else that would like to come up? Please state your name and your address, please.
Brittany Hunter, 2604 Willowwood. I'm coming to you as one of your school board trustees. So I also took that oath, and it was a good mention from Julie, and I will remind you. But I want to put this in the record. On January 27th of 2026, the Laurel Public School Board of Trustees and Superintendent Matt Torix formally announced their unified opposition of the state of Montana's proposed development of forensic detention facility within the Laurel Public School District. The board's opposition is basically primarily on the safety and well-being of the students of Laurel Public Schools. The planned state facility's proposed property would be within 500 yards of the Laurel Elementary School. I don't care who tells you where the property boundary goes, it's still within the vicinity of 500 yards. Where our youngest and most vulnerable students are educated, when they are outside playing and somebody tells you that there is somebody who's escaped and nobody can tell you it can't happen, because it can. And our children are out and they are the most vulnerable. How are we going to get them in? Think of that. The safety of our students is our highest priority from our superintendent, Matt Torix. The building of the forensic detention facility is such closely proximity to our elementary school, and it's not supported by the board on the grounds of safety for the students we serve. The Board of Trustees held a discussion regarding this proposed state facility during the regular meeting on January 26th of 2026. Following this discussion, the board confirmed that no state officials have contacted the district regarding how this facility would impact the student body of Laurel schools. Laurel Public Schools serves the Laurel school community and is dedicated to providing a safe and high-quality educational environment for all students. The Laurel Board of Trustees does not feel the development of the forensic detention facility within such close proximity to our schools meets this obligation. This is also signed by Chris Larash, our board chair, and Matt Torix, our superintendent. I also want to give some history. When we were trying to attempt to build our intermediate school, we had one individual trying to consistently stop us because we were in the state as well, and we wanted to annex into the city to be part of the community with that new facility. And we were constantly being roadblocked by one individual in this room, and he now has a new title, and he also took an oath. So we want to push away a school, but then we're going to vote for a forensic facility. Thank you.
Please state your name and your address, please. Thank you.
Shauna Hopper, 504 Roundhouse. Each council member has been given a couple of letters as well as verified timelines. This is work that we have done for the city on behalf of all residents. February 10th, Laurel City Councilor, Mayor Dave Wagner, CAO Kurt Markegard, City Attorney Brockman, Clerk Treasurer Kelly Strecker, and Administrative Assistant Brittany Harkle. I was going to send this by email. However, after last week's workshop, I wanted to be able to look each and every one of you in the eye as I read this. The pure disappointment, disgust, embarrassment, and astonishment I felt witnessing the conductor of Mayor Wagner and CAO Markegard through the last 6 months and last week's workshop is unacceptable and should not be allowed. Our current leadership is in complete disarray and reflects poorly on our entire community. It is quite apparent these two have purposely left City Council and the City Attorney out of many discussions and opportunities to learn about the Montana State Forensic Facility or prison, as well as many other decisions, discussions, and pertinent to the well-being of our town. Last week, CAO Markegard stated that he didn't know what type of facility it was. He was late to the tour, didn't have the QR code, and he did not allow our city council to be there and represent us. He also fails to respond to emails from both city employees and community members about many different issues. Communication is essential in any job, especially city government. Last week, he also stated he had to take 2 days off the previous week and then informed everybody that he was taking another 2 days off. I also know of a specific incident last year where a resident was needing responses from him about building, and he was gone for approximately 3 weeks. On November 28th, via text message to Cheryl Hill and myself, and we questioned the mayor about the forensic hospital when we saw it on Q2. His response: I just got out of the hospital. I have prostate cancer. They removed part of my prostate. The news just called me and I had no idea. I just heard about it an hour ago. It is all on the state. Last I heard, it was in Miles City. They mentioned looking into the Woods property, going through the annexation process. However, through the provided timeline, you will see that on August 22nd, 2025, the CAO Markegard sent on behalf of the mayor. The mayor and CAO are out of office, don't respond, and have no idea what anything.
I'm Maggie Hansen. I live at 1000 Longview Road, and I give Shauna my 3 minutes.
No idea what anything, and they are leaving the city council, city attorney, citizens of Laurel out of everything. So who exactly is running our city? With the recent actions of the mayor towards City Attorney Brockman, we are adding public records request for all public records with any past or pertinent complaints from all city staff, city council members, all contract personnel, former and existing city court judges against the mayor for his treatment. As of today, the only public records released have been emails between Kurt and the BOI, Dan Villa, and the Montana Department of Health Human Services, Charlie Barrington, with only one CC to the city attorney and one response from the mayor. There are still many missing requests. So again, I present public records requests for all emails, phone logs, text messages, social media posts regarding any and all discussion regarding the Montana Forensic Prison, water lines, zoning between any of the following: Kurt Markegard, Dave Wagner, BOI, Department of Health, and Dick Anderson Construction, project and manager, Norm Miller, Love's Gas Station, project manager from 5/1 to present. Be advised that as of this request, and many before this, deletion or editing of comments and messages would be spoliation of the communications protected by MCA-2-2-1003. I do understand that this is a process and it may take time. However, the continued lack of transparency and communication is unacceptable. It is my, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
I'm Elizabeth Gilk. Great to be back this week. The Laurel Cared Committee has composed a letter of request pertaining to an investigation of conduct of Kurt and the mayor. Sean is going to read the letter that Cared wrote on our behalf. Thank you.
To Laurel City Council from Laurel Cared, dated 2/10/2026. This is a request for an independent investigation into city leadership conduct. Dear honorable members of Laurel City Council, we, the undersized citizens of Laurel, respectfully request that the City Council immediately authorize an independent investigation into the conduct of Mayor Dave Wagner and Chief Administrative Officer Kurt Markegard regarding the proposed state forensic meth facility, and take any and all administrative actions the council deems appropriate to ensure the integrity of this investigation. Basis for this request: recent document releases reveal a troubling pattern. Unauthorized communication on August 22nd, 2025, 2 months before council's informational-only briefing. CAO Markegard sent detailed proposals to the state officials stating he was acting on behalf of the city of Laurel's mayor. Mayor Wagner was CC'd, indicating his approval. This occurred without city council authorization or knowledge. Exclusion of elected representatives. BOI Director Dan Villa's July 10th, 2025 invitation explicitly requested Kurt invite your respective councils to facilitate to the facility site tours. Billings brought multiple county members and their mayor. No evidence suggests Laurel City councilors were involved or informed. 3, contradictory statements. September 30th, Mayor Wagner told media any decision requires resident and city council approval. October 21st, CAO Markegard told council the state probably doesn't have to comply with local zoning laws. 4, unexplained property selection. City officials stated Laurel submitted no formal proposal, yet CAO Markegard promoted a specific private property to the state officials. The selection process has not been explained. 5, oath and questions. Montana law requires mayors to represent constituents and promote citizen partnership per MCA 7-3-203 and 7-4-4303, as well as 7-5-4102. The exclusion of council and citizens raises serious questions about compliance. Our requested actions are: 1, authorize immediate retention of an independent investigator with expertise.
I'm
Please.
Westcott at 1835 Coyote Ridge. I am giving Shauna my 3 minutes.
Number 1, authorization, immediate retention of an independent investigator with expertise in municipal governance. 2, direct preservation of all communications and records related to this facility. Take any and all administrative actions deemed appropriate to ensure the investigation integrity, including but not limited to administrative leave. 4, establish a 60 to 90-day timeline for completion. 5, commit to public disclosure of findings. In conclusion, this request is made in the spirit of protecting the integrity of Laurel's governance and restoring public trust. Administrative lead is a standard practice when serious questions arise about official conduct. It is not a finding of wrongdoing, but rather a prudent measure to allow fair, thorough investigation without the appearance of interference. The citizens of Laurel deserve transparency, accountability, and leadership that places community interests above all else. We respectfully urge City Council to act swiftly on this request. Signed, Shauna Hopper, Cheryl Hill, Kelly Wilcott, Maggie Hansen, Amber Zahn. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to come to the podium and take your 3 minutes?
No, go for it first.
Hello, Steve Crum, 249 24th Avenue West, Laurel, Montana. I guess first I'd like to say I hope and believe you deserve a public apology right here as well. And I think most of us do that. So I hope you get it. Second, I disagree with Councilperson McKay on the senator from Big Timber, because he led off his article with something that said something like, our anxiety and fears were not real because he knows better that that this thing is safe. He's all this stuff about traveling the state, going through all these facilities. But in my experience, in all the years that I've been working different jobs, anytime the guy that comes around with the paycheck or the guy that comes around that can hire or fire you, you polish up your facility. You see the best of it, not the worst of it. I would trust more on the newspapers around there, the people that actually work there, and not solely the management, as to how safe, and that the fact is these facilities do fail sometimes and things happen that you don't want. So I disagree that he would be the guy to listen to for your real strong decision on whether or not that belongs here. And then secondly, when you look at your growth policy, that is supposed to be your growth direction. It is probably your most reasonable financial direction to grow as far as residential. Everything that way is either a trailer court and you hit the rims. Everything that way, the county's already expanded. You can't hardly go over the top right now because Kurt said it's too expensive to go up to the water. So that's the way to go. And if you put that facility over there, that's gone. Then the city's got nothing, because you got the railroad, the refinery, you got a truck stop. Rumor is there's another residential area going to go over there, but that's down the road. But you really blocked yourself on growth. So you really should think about it and then look hard at your growth policy, because that's where it should be going, not this facility. And then the other thing this gentleman said was these facilities were so great, they wouldn't impact your growth or anything like that. But look at the county jail. Look at all the jails elsewhere. What's some of the other ones? But nobody's building around those facilities. Nobody's building new residential areas there, and they're not going to do it here either. Nobody's going to want to build there or live there. So you really hurt yourself when you allow that to happen. So, and then the last thing, as far as jobs, 3 years ago, when I was in here before, city had trouble getting a police officer. And you take a look now, the hospitals, all those places, they are having trouble keeping nurses, stuff like that. As your help turns over and over and over, do you keep getting the best people each time? Probably not. So thank you.
Please state your name and your address for us, please.
I am Jennifer Lorenz. I live at 916 Fifth Avenue in Laurel, Montana, obviously. I am up here mainly because I just want you to know I'm a small business owner. I also own a nonprofit, and more importantly, I'm a veteran and I'm a stickler for rules and regulations. And through this whole disaster that's happening right now, I really feel that a lot of this could have been completely and totally avoided if certain individuals would have paid attention to what the charter says. The city of Laurel charter, and starting because all of this, I mean, people are getting threatened people are feeling unsafe because of the choices you and the mayor made on how to handle this situation. And I hope you feel the full responsibility of the safety of these guys in front of you, because they're in trouble and they're dealing with crap outside of this thing because of your actions. And that hurts my heart that we have people in the community that would threaten you and talk down to you and everything else like that, when what I see is not your fault. Anyways, I just wanted to remind everybody that the mayor and everything, like if you look at section 3.04, powers and duties, the mayor shall administer affairs of the local government, shall carry out policies established by the council. Item, I think 7 or 8 or 9, anyways, shall execute contracts, et cetera, subject to the approval of the council. There, everything in there points to the fact that you guys have the power over the mayor and over the CAO and over their actions and what they do and what they represent. And I just want to encourage you to take that power back. It has been unfairly taken from you and you guys are getting the brunt of it. I think it is completely and totally unfair and you are owed a huge apology. But also, I wanted to point out that maybe some of you don't know, but the city council can also recall the mayor on their own without us even having to submit a petition. At section 3.09, if you look at the charter, it says the mayor may be removed by a city council vote of 6 to 8. Has he respected you? Has he treated you with dignity? Has he treated our city employees with dignity? Calling out ICE on the poor guy that does nothing but serve our community and is here as a legal Canadian immigrant? Is that the guy that you guys want representing us? Like, to me, it's an embarrassment. You deserve better, ma'am. But anyways, and also I wanted you to know that the CAO position is there may be a CAO. There doesn't have to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nope. I'm done.
If there's anyone else who would like to come to the podium and audience participation, please do. State your name and your address, please.
Brian Lubinsky, 327th Avenue. There's a couple of things last time I said, I'm going to talk to you like I talk to my kids because they're still learning. You obviously are not. Had any of us done what you did in our normal day-to-day jobs, we would have been fired, put on leave, reprimanded, demoted, something to that extent. So I don't see why it's any different, why you shouldn't be demoted, reprimanded, removed from the position. I kindly ask that you just step down and save everybody the time. Your constant lies have obviously put a lot of people in danger. There's no getting around it. You're not a child anymore. There's consequences for actions, and your actions have shown that there is no trust whatsoever in both the mayor and yourself. So I would kindly ask that you save everybody here the time and just resign.
Thank you. If there is anyone else who would like to come to the podium, please do so. Please state your name and your address.
Jeremy Lawvold, 1035 9th Avenue. I've lived here for about 20 years, grew up in Park City, so, this is home area for me. I have never come to a city council meeting before. I watched the complete boring one last week. It was just mind numbing. But it forces me to come here because I don't want this in my community. I don't know if you as council members can put out a statement to the state saying, we as the council and the city don't want it. I don't know if you can do that or not, but if you can, you should. Because from what I've heard, there's been one positive from somebody in Big Timber and one other from somebody in the community possibly. But everything else I've heard personally talked to, there's no positive viewings of this facility from anybody. I don't know you from Adam, but I've talked to people in the community that have been here for years, and there's question about your capabilities. Sorry, but that's just what it is out there. I don't like saying that, but that's just, I asked because I don't know you, never dealt with you. And so I talk to people around here and there's concern. My wife works at the school. My child goes to the school over on Laurel Elementary. I don't want it around them. They say it's 500 yards, 500 plus to where they'd build the facility, but then you're going to build back. What else is going to go there? Because 114 acres, they're not just going to stop at 32 beds. It'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And once they get annexation, if you let them have that, it's just going to grow uncontrolled. I guess I'd like to know where you guys stand as council members on this. I don't know if you can say that right now or not, but I would like to. I mean, that's kind of where are you standing? What's your position? What's your thoughts? It's great that you can hear from us, but we'd like to know what you guys are thinking. I would like to know what you're thinking. So that was kind of my thoughts off the top of my head.
Thank you very much. If anyone else would like to come to the podium, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address.
My name is Wayne Thierry, and I live at 1008 Duval. I work for the school district, and although I accept and follow what they believe in this, I'm serious speaking for myself. I've been here for 6.5 years. When I moved here, I went to work for the school district, and I've become somewhat of a locomotive. I'm proud, very proud to be part of this city. And I look at all these people here, and I'm proud of them. And it makes me feel good that I have their support, because I do not support the location of this facility. This facility, I have a home here. I don't want the cost of it to go down. I'm worried about the safety of our kids. I get to play with those kids every day, walk down the hallway when our kids are there. And I want the safety for them. And that should be the responsibility of you. It's taken on the responsibility of all these people, and I'm very, very proud to be a member of this community. That's it.
Thank you very much. If there is anyone else who would like to come to the podium, you have 3 minutes. Please do so. State your name and your address, sir.
Yes, Tom. Hi, I'm Gary Waddell. I live at 1241 Elkhorn Drive, a country subdivision just east of Laurel. And I'm a proud father of a daughter that has taken a lot of time out of her career being a grandmother and a mother to bring this to light. I just want to add a couple comments. Last week, Mr. Markegard, you said you've never been to the facilities in Warm Springs and Galen. Is that correct? I think that's correct. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I haven't been there either, because when you go by it, you can see it on the interstate. There's nothing there but those hospitals. Has anybody in here talked to any of the medical people, professionals that have worked in that hospital? Either one of them? I bet you none of them. I have. They're traveling nurses and doctors. We have them in Billings at both hospitals. They have told me it's the worst run facility they've ever worked in. And now we're trying to bring one here. Let them fix what we have up there. And as far as the senator from Big Timber, I did a lot of spot inspections when I was working. You notify people, they clean it up. The only time you see what it really is when you stop in unexpected. So with that, I hope everybody in this room will do their due diligence. Look on the Montana website. Those two facilities lost federal government funding. Now we want to bring it here. No, thank you.
Thank you very much. If there's anyone else who would like to come up to the podium and take 3 minutes, please do so by putting your name out and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Amber Zahn. I live at 1224 West 4th Street. I, for a second week in a row, am deviating from what I had planned to say. I want to bring to you emotional side of it, as some of us have, and I'm actually very proud and thankful for everything that has been said tonight. I come from Billings. I'm a firm believer in mental health. I myself seek mental health, and it is incredibly beneficial. Everybody should do it. It's a thing. Do it. My opposition to this location, though, is because of what it actually is. There's so many soft words around it. It's a hardened facility. It's XYZ. Call it what it is. I came from Billings, though. I fostered for 2 years. I took all the Keep Kids Safe courses and everything. We, as parents, as caregivers, we keep our kids safe. We keep them healthy. We want them to be comfortable. We want them to live big, beautiful lives. This is quite literally my backyard. So yes, I have a lot of skin in the game, and I apologize for always bringing that up. But I have 2 children who, they are what I'm doing. They are my life. Their life is my biggest thing, and they do not need to grow up next to this. Their school doesn't need to grow up next to this. These other kids do not need to grow up next to this. This is so recklessly thought out, and I pray every day that we do have better thought processes going forward in it. You guys hear a lot, and I'm thankful for you. But please, I hope we make the right decision for our community. There's a lot that this involves, so thank you.
Thank you again. If there is anyone else who would like to come to the podium, you have 3 minutes. Please give us your name and your address. I will then close the audience participation. Moving on to scheduled matters. Resolution number 1. I'm pretty good at being. So resolution number R26-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Laurel, Montana, amending resolution number 25-75 and affirming continuation of the service under the managed service agreement for, it is renamed Systems Technology Consultant. Is there any public comment?
Let Jody.
Oh, Jody, you go ahead, Jody. Take the stage.
Councilmember Canopy, I would move to approve resolution number R26-05.
Second. Motion made by Jody McKay and seconded by Richard Closely, was it? Oh, Irv Wilkie. Thank you, Irv. Irv did do the second on that motion. Council, it says public comment now. No public comment. Moving on to council discussion. No council discussion. Please, let's take a vote. All the city council in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? It goes 8-0. Resolution number R26-06, a resolution of the City Council approving the Transportation Coordination Plan for the City of Laurel Transit.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number R26-06.
Second. So the motion R26-06 was approved by a motion by Council Wheeler and also approved by Irv Wilkie. Seconded. Council or public comment? Council discussion? Vote. Pardon?
All those in favor?
All those in favor, please specify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It goes,
Those opposed?
anybody opposing it? The vote goes 8-0. There are no items removed from the consent agenda. Community announcements. 1 minute limit. Any community announcements? Are there any community announcements? Any council discussion now? Any council discussion? Mayor updates? We do have one, and Kelly will be giving it to you.
I just have one update for you guys. The council members that are new, have never been through the training through the local government center. We could have done that training actually in Billings tonight, but because of a council meeting, we, and the council members, you chose not to go tonight. So we do have a few evenings that are available that Dan Clark will actually come here to the city of Laurel. I will send out something asking for you guys what works best for everybody. Looks like it's the last week in February, the first part of March. So I'll send those dates out to you and then find out what works best for everybody. And then we can schedule Dan Clark to come back for the new council members. Everybody on council is invited to attend though.
Are there any unscheduled matters? Go ahead, Jody McKay, please.
Thank you. Most of what I had for this evening were questions for our mayor, but he is not present. So I think I will ask Attorney Brockman if she had any further communications regarding that request for her resignation and if she intends to do that.
Thank you, Councilmember McKay. No, I have not received any further communications from the mayor about his request for me to resign. And it is not my intention at this time to resign.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And I also am grateful to hear that. I concur with what our audience had to say there. Are we going to be able to move into a session to discuss some of the litigation concerns after this meeting? I know we had talked about it, but I don't know that we got any communication there.
In order to move into a closed executive session, that needs to be called by our acting mayor. And if he calls for us to do so, then yes, we can move into a closed executive session to discuss litigation issues.
I would feel more comfortable if the mayor was here to do that. But I guess in the thoughts, we probably would go ahead and do that. I'm not going to close the meeting. So if we want to go on.
This meeting has to be adjourned
before we can
move to another.
I would think it would be more appropriate to wait for the mayor to come back on the advice of the attorney here. And I think that would be a better move for us and myself, to be fair. I want to make a motion for adjournment, or are there any other unscheduled matters?
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, Sarah Naylor.
These are
also for the mayor to answer this evening. In his absence, I'd just like to read them. And then hopefully he can get those answers and we can speak about them next week. So the first one was just what direction, if any, did you personally give staff regarding pursuing Laurel as a site and when? And I would like specific dates and actions. The next one is for awareness. How many public records requests has the city received relating to the mental health facility to date and how many have been completed? Is there an administrative plan to proactively post frequently released documents so the public can access information without submitting individual records requests? And I think proactive disclosure would reduce workload on the city staff while improving public understanding as well. And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you very much. Are there any other unscheduled matters?
Say something.
One of your questions was regarding a location where people can access documents. That is on our website, and it is available currently.
I just have a quick follow-up.
Please go ahead.
All of the information that's been requested is on the city website. Is that what you're stating?
Anything that's been given to me has been placed on there.
Are there any other unscheduled matters? I do call for adjournment. I move. Will someone please, please make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Mr. Substitute Mayor Canopy, I would move to adjourn the council meeting.
Second.
So it was by Mr. Edgman first and seconded by Mr. Closey. Or Irv Wilkie, I should know better. Thank you very much. Seconded by Irv Wilkie. Is there any other public comment? If not, thank you very much for coming tonight and thanks for bearing with me. Oh, we still do have to vote on this, on Mr. Edgman's, and the vote, if you are in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And it is also 8-0. No nays? 8-0. Oh, my God.